Assalamu alaikum everybody. Back with here today reading the book Mathematical Mysteries of Alphabets. My name is Asad Afzal. I'm the spokesperson at Sufi Spiritual Society. How you doing, guys? It's been a while since I've read up on this book, so we're just going to continue from where I left off last time. I believe last time we were on chapter 3, which is page 58, 57. Let me just quickly have a look. Yep. On page 57 of this book, you'll find chapter 3, Essence of the Peculiarities of Alphabets and Numerals. Here we are, guys. That's where I was up to last time. I think I read a bit further into it, onto page 76 and 77. In the matter in discussion here were the general qualities. It deserves a bit more of an explanation here because it's been a while now. I think more so about 6 weeks, maybe less, or give or take a few. Just to reintroduce this book, The Mathematical Mysteries of Alphabets, Divine Solution for Mankind, Vision from a Visionary, Moeed Shah Saab, who written this book. Now, in the past programs, you can catch up by having a look at part 1, 2 and 3, where I've read this book, read the content of this book from the beginning, the preface of the author, and other accounts from the author related to Shahji's life and how they came up to this point where they're written this book, and many other accomplishments along the way. It's all sort of documented in here, and the main purpose of this book, if you remember, we discussed it was a direct answer to an indirect inquiry, a query, or a challenge, I should say, where I think it was Dr. something, I can't remember the name, we'll look it up again, who actually, somebody pointed at the Quran and said it's not actually a balanced book, which as Muslims, not everybody, but those who can, especially Shahji, who can and who could and who did, wrote an answer in the form of this book and many other literatures, which I won't mention in this because this program is dedicated solely for this book. This book is a proof of the works, of the extended works of the Naqsh, which is, as some of you may know, I've mentioned in the previous programs, the 100 by 100, the 1000 by 1000, where basically the whole Quran Pak, all the letters of every single word can be translated into a number, so it's in a numerical form. That's when the balance is actually more so obvious of the Quran Pak. So it's still the Quran Pak. For an example, what we used were like Bismillah Rahman Rahim, which can be translated into 786, which is a commonly known fact. What's less commonly known is that the rest of the Quran is also the same. You can translate the whole Quran into numerical form. And the book here is Mathematical Mysteries of Alphabets. So that's one subject here, where this is a direct response to prove that the proof is not only in this book, the extended work comes into question as well. So if you ever get in contact with Sufi Spiritual Society or have seen some of the other programs previously made, the Naqsh has been shown on DM digital television, and it's been shown by Shahji himself. Can't remember the exact date, but the programs have been uploaded for everybody to view on YouTube. And this is a great work carried out by Shahji in his life, which took him a very long time to actually write. It wasn't done over a matter of months, it was many years of hard work. And the way it's actually done, it in itself is a miracle. The reason why is because here's Shahji, who on the face of it was not educated in any school or college or university per se in England or even in Pakistan, where they originated from. And for a person who hasn't been educated to receive through guidance a little piece which they seen in Pakistan of the book which Maulai Kainat Hazrat Maulai Ali alayhi Islam had written, and it was completed by Hazrat Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi Islam, which is the Jafar Jama, to see a little piece of that, and from that piece to reconstruct the whole Quran Pak into numerics. It's an amazing task. It's something that will leave people baffled, and it's just a quick explanation, like, you know, 1 page of it, and I'm giving an indication it would be a small print if it was the same size as this. There is so many combinations one mind can also calculate. Like, if we ourselves, in science it says over 7 things, maybe I'm wrong, over 7 things, like 7 things is our maximum to remember. After the 7th we start forgetting certain things. Spot on. I don't know, maybe that's something you can challenge. However, to equate four numbers in a combination, have it not repeat in a million others, is miraculous itself, especially with no prior formulas or methods or practices or education. So it leaves one definitely thinking, like, how is it even possible? And it's through divine guidance that they reached this stage, that they were able to write that out. This book actually outlines, and it's left behind for us, and the only sad thing is you can't get a copy anywhere and everywhere. This is the only 2nd or 3rd copy that only some of us have got left, which was the direct need created to actually leave it as a video as well, so everybody else can see. And we have got plans where in the future we're going to be getting this printed out again, and so everybody will be able to obtain a copy. Simply by using the book, a person begins a journey, or at least it settles a curiosity of one to understand there are practices. There is knowledge. The Quran Pak has a value apart from all the practices that we as Muslims have in mosques and at home. One of the biggest challenges we do have, as I'd speak as a British Muslim, is first to accommodate the bilingual family life, the school life, the English, the speaking Urdu, the speaking Farsi. So we've always had to come and manage 2 different languages, one at home perhaps, in my generation definitely. In other generations maybe it's a little bit more different. And so we have our parents, I'll talk about myself, who had a deep attachment from Pakistan. They were from Pakistan, so I was the first generation actually born here. I was brought up speaking English outside of home and Punjabi and Urdu at home, like many other people have experienced in my generation as well. One challenge for us is then to go ahead and learn in mosque Arabic, and some people like they surpassed all levels, they were very good at it. Some people, others didn't. So what it's actually become now is just generally a factory where you can just recite the Quran, and many people go down the road of becoming a Hafiz, which is beautiful, because them brothers and sisters become Hafizes, memorize each surah, they know perhaps the meaning and everything. Not just to say that you memorize it, you're able to regurgitate the page of whichever surah, whichever ayah you read it, but apart from that, not many people know the spiritual element, the attachment of spiritually having spoken out. God's word is what we're reading when we read the Quran Pak, so it has an effect when we do read it. And then to apply it in our lives, what's the importance of it? What is the missing link? Not a lot of people talk about this, and not a lot of people have the knowledge in order to pass it on and be able to put it forward to the whole of mankind and say, well, this is one way you can benefit from using the Quran Pak. Use it in respect, using in terms of reading, doing ibadat and other practices like doing vazaif, sitting in muraqabah, which is meditation. And these are things that are not really generally talked about in mosques. Maybe they are, maybe I've not really come across it that much myself. But the practices itself, the betterment of humans, I should say, of mankind, the blessings of Allah Pak, Iqra, which is read. I'm going to end up going into a totally entirely different subject. So bringing it back to the book now, just to recap some of the stories that I've actually read up to now in this book have been extraordinary. The journey that has brought us to today to continue reading the book from page 77 were extraordinary. The people that I've spoken about that have been mentioned in this book, the stories that have been narrated, are extraordinary and suggest mystical side, the mystical wonders of Islam. And it's no hidden secret. It's a matter of belief, and everybody knows there is a different effect, there is a different side to being here, to being in the world, being human, being alive. And to shed a bit of light, I think it was page 13, just so that the new people who have joined us can have some sort of understanding of what I'm going to read on page 77, where I left off from. Where I am in chapter 3, which started at, give me 1 second, chapter 3 is in page 56, 57. Chapter 3 is in page 57, the essence of the peculiarities of alphabets and numerals. Now here we've got 9 categories in page 57, and the 9 categories are because of the numbers and letters. The letters alif, be, jim, dal, he, waw, ze, he. These are 9 letters, and if you remember in the previous programs, do watch it, go back, have a look. The alphabet, each number has an attachment, each letter has an attachment of a number. So we're going off, you'll find this on page 13. Here's the table up here. Well, alif is 1, Be is 2, Jim is 3, Dal is 4, He is 5, Waw is 6, Ze is 7, He is 8. Now, the reason I mentioned that is because there is only 9 foundational categories where you get categorized in, no matter what your name is throughout the whole world. And how you find out what your number is out of the 1 and 9 before it starts going into the dualities of numerics like 10, 11, 12, which doesn't exist. It's only the 9 main core categories that you can fall into, and everything else fits into that denomination. How you find out is by using that chart that on page 13. You can spell your name in Arabic. It has to be Arabic because the whole Quran is in Arabic. If you find the letters of your name and spell them out, and you find out the associated numerical value, you basically add up, let's say for example, alif, be, jim. Alif is 1, be is 2, jim is 3, so 1 plus 2 plus 3 equals 6. So then you will fall in the category of 6 if it's a 2-digit number or a 3-digit number that you end up with. For example, alif is 1, sad is 90, and again is 1000, so 1091 would be the end result. And in that point, write the figure out 1091. 1, you'd exclude the 0 because it has no value. You'd add the 9 and then you'd add the other 1, which will end up in 11. And then again you follow suit. 1 add 1 is 2. Your category will be number 2. Now, reading on chapter 3, I moved on to reading the qualities for men, number 5, which is governed by the letter He. To continue reading from here, general qualities is the first side heading, and this is the general qualities of the person who's governed by the letter He, the number 5. His life is a busy life when he is in service. He is entangled with overtime. There is no one who can surpass him in working at a stretch. Purpose of his life is to earn money. Day and night he is busy in that effort. Owners of this number mostly have religious inclination. Wherever they are satisfied. They very rarely change their religion. Do not hesitate from giving the biggest of sacrifices in the name of religion. They are very frugal. They have a great passion for being social. They have many friends. He is very fond of fine arts. Music is also his favorite. He is a good singer. Gwal or Nat Khwan is written in brackets. He has pathos in his voice, and because of that he is a very good singer. He pays extra attention on food. His life depends on eating good food and munching all the time. He sleeps very little, due to which he gets into psychological problems, which is written in his fate. Either he himself or his parents or any of his brothers or sisters remain sick. There will be no surprise if his brother is a lunatic. He usually gets diabetes because of his great liking for sweets. So the person who is governed by the number 5 and the letter He has a sweet tongue there. In reality, he is a meat eater. If he eats vegetables, then that too will definitely contain meat. Special feature of his life is that it may be icy cold, he will take a bath with cold water. Usually he does not suffer from facial or general paralysis. He has, had he been a general, he would never have been a rebel. Rather, in every transaction in his life, he will never revolt. He has a great faith in spiritual persons, hermits and beggars. He is also fond of going to courts. He is frugal for himself. His money is spent of his friends and debauchery and religion. Where there is sickness written in his fate, entertainment of guests is also there. Okay. He has a great interest in games. He himself happens to be a player, and due to that he has a great desire to entertain fellow players, and he is prepared to give the biggest sacrifice for their sake. He is very fond of travel, be it to attend someone's wedding or join someone in his bereavement. He just needs an excuse. He is not good in business. He does not make long-term plans, goes on day-to-day basis. There are educated people also in this number. They are artists of a high standard. Their lifestyle is poetic. They themselves are poets, and they decorate similar gatherings. Life of a bearer of this number is of hobby and taste. He loves every kind of art. They have life in their living. He drives very fast and commits accidents as well. This number is a spiritual number. No one knows his secret, and he is a high-class spiritualist. Moving on, one of the side headings that follows off from general qualities is number 5 and his education. Here goes, guys. Owners of this number are teachers, professors, and also doctors. They create a special name for themselves. In the department of chemistry, they lag behind in the field of science. They are newspaper reporters as well. They present every news in an exaggerated manner. Similarly, they exaggerate everything that they present. They are mostly jovial due to that. They are good teachers and professors. They are very much liked by children. Usually they keep good dress. He is also fond of story writing and storytelling, and this is a big occupation. They are building engineers as well. They are draftsmen of high caliber because they are owners of artistic thought. Their life is not hellish. Either love with someone or hate with someone. Only one route is adopted. If they go in calligraphy, they create a big name for themselves. Number 5, and profession. They are fond in every department of their life. Medicine, dispensing or nursing. They are molders, turners, engineers, and overseers also. They are bricklayers, makers of building. They are great expertise in woodwork. They are in bakery departments, meaning bread, cake making, etc. In whichever department of life they are, they apply their heart in their work. They never sow discord. In this number, auto engineers, auto mechanics, body painters are also found. They adopt soft sports. They may also be famous. They are religious scholars and also the prayer leaders in mosques. They teach children. They have talents of a teacher, professor, or an artist. They adopt singing, and music is a profession. They will provide ground training to pilots, but they cannot become aircraft pilots because they have one lazy eye. Can also be squinted. Eyes are a big problem in their life. He is a very good judge. Besides justice, he is not hard-hearted. He is not a good speaker. He is a spiritualist of class. There you go, number 5. Moving on. Regarding the people who come under the governance of 5. Side heading is number 5 and marriage. Excuse me guys, I'm a bit under the weather, and I think a lot of my friends who've got back to me, I'm always seeming to be under the weather. I don't know what it is. Number 5 and marriage. Bearer of this number marries on the basis of his love and his own desire. He may fall in love with an older girl than himself, or with a married woman. It has rarely been noticed that he is childless. Then he marries many times, has a pleasant married life and many children. It is however possible that he has more girls and less boys, or there may be none. His weakness is women, and marries early in young age. Number 5 and health. In this number, sickness is in his fate. Either he himself will be ill, or his parents, or brother or sister will be ill. If the brother loses his mental balance, it will not be a surprise, but he himself is usually quite healthy. From physical point of view, he is very fond of exercise. Besides, one special feature is that he may have a lazy eye, or a squint is also found. In addition, he might have night blindness. He often suffers from the illness of cold. He cannot keep control on his food and drink, and for that many problems arise. Owners of this number also suffer from sleeplessness at night, meaning the balance he has with the sun is impaired. When the sun sets, he awakens, and when the dawn is about to break, he becomes drowsy. Then he feels hungry before sleeping. He may suffer from heart ailments and blood pressure problems because he has no control over his food. There you have it, guys. If you're governed by number 5, that was a bit of a brief description for the general qualities: education, profession, marriage and health. We're moving on to number 6 now. And before we do that, I just wanted to outline here, the owner of this number also suffers from sleepless night, meaning that the balance he has with the sun is impaired. Now, what balance? There is a balance. Over here, I think we can go into a completely new, different subject. Now, if over here the book is written, if you have a sleep deprivation, sleep less. Okay, there's 2 things here. 1, sleeping less. Number 2, dietary. Dietary issues are indirect cause of your bad choices. I make bad choices. I mean, yeah, I do. But putting that aside, what's the relationship with having a disturbed sleep? Like, whether you stay awake at night and sleep during the day. I mean, I know the common answers. I mean, I know the common sense and the logic that's applied here. Obviously, your body's designed in a way you want to be waking up early, because the day in the ground park, it says, is made for your work and night is made for your rest. But if you still read your namaz and did your ibadat and you went to sleep in the day and you woke up during the night, how will it affect you? There is an effect, because there's a natural sequence, natural way of our life. Throughout the day we work, throughout the night we meant to be sleep, and in between just wake up, read your Fajr namaz, or however you go about reading Vazaif, or whatever you do. But it has an effect which is very interesting to me, because this is also celestial knowledge, and the celestial knowledge, it comes to indicate if the appearance of the sun during the day and the moon in the night, and the spinning and the revolution of the world has an effect on us. For example, the eclipse has an effect generally on people's moods, and I think it's a commonly known thing in general that the weather has a general effect on our moods. So if it's good weather, we're generally happy, and if it's bad weather, we're generally miserable. I mean, not necessarily miserable in, cutthroat misery, but no, miserable as in you're dull, not as happy when it's good weather. So having said that, it might be something just I'd like to outline. What stuck out to me was things that happen do affect us that are out of our control. It's some things are in our nature, and calling for a knowledge like this, calling it celestial, I'm indicating here something that I've taken up from Razabai, and I'd like that to be a point of something I can discuss with Razabai at another stage, perhaps, to ask how is it more celestial, how is it, because it's from the unknown, we know that, and it's in unison with the whole universe and the nature of us as human mankind. So when you do read, there's a change that begins to happen. The effect of your reading creates your energy to be different from within, and that causes the whole aura of your change. And this is the power of the Quran Pak also. I mean, I'm only touching on the surface here, but many other Sufis in the past have said the same, and many other religious spiritualists have also said the same. And this is where the interesting point comes on. Here we have our religion, that we thank God to be born as Muslims, and we have this unwavering belief of being on the right path. Whether we're on that path or not, ask any Muslim. That one that goes clubbing or drinks, or that one that reads 5 times namaz, has his salwar up, following sunnah, have his beard down, whatever, it doesn't matter. What matters is, deep down they know they got that stamp on their heart saying we're Muslim, we're 100% with each other. Whether we practice or not is an entire different matter. But when you come into the practice side of things, and then you hit your mosques, you go to your mosques, apart from this street language, some of the things I want to say here is, what is a practice? A practice is what you do. It's repetition. So if it's reading the Quran and become a Hafiz, then you memorize it. If you read the Quran to say it beautifully, you become a Qari, and you know the meaning, so you know the message, and you move on to your wazaif. So from Shariat you step it up to Tariqat, you follow a path enlightened before us. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyaka na'budu wa Iyaka nasta'in, Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqima, sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim, ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. Enlighten us, O Lord. Basically, look at the meaning of that, of a path, a tariqah for us to follow. So going into that and summing it up, basically why I mentioned people outside was because the spiritualists outside, I have been very interested in reading in them recently. Some of the Brahmins, some of the Buddhists, some of the yogists, and they all talk about self-realization. Ultimately, a realization of God within and the oneness of God, from where before I used to look at Hinduism and I used to think, well, they've got 100 gods, and then within the Hinduism I found people. Nisargadatta is one, Yogananda is two. I looked at Paramhansa Yogananda, his documentary, I read a bit into them. I read about a few more, and ultimately the oneness of God, seek God within, and that's where my curiosity stopped. Because even in Islam, the Sufis over the years, it's the oneness of God. The God is within, whole universe is within. Even more like Kainat Amir al-Mu'mineen Hazrat Ali alayhi salam said, the whole universe is inside you. Even our Rasul Pak said it. So we've got to look within ourselves, and there is a technique. Even people not in our religion, look at Sadhguru talking about inner engineering. So many words have been used over centuries to describe exactly the same thing. It's on a humanitarian level, that it may be of different sects and without any prejudices or discriminations, ultimately leads us to the one goal, is to go within. And when we all go within, we have our own ways to go within, and at every stage a different knowledge came. And here, if you have a look at the days of King Solomon, Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam, now in 2017, in May, I'm talking about Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam, and my heart believes 100%. Like, obviously I'm saying this now, but even I don't want to say, I know he was there because I read it in the Quran. Like, I read the translation or whatever, I know that is 100% this happened. As in the days of King Solomon, Hazrat Sulaiman alayhi salam, there were various angels that came, I can't remember the names, and they taught different knowledges to us human beings in them centuries and blatantly said, we are teaching you the wrong thing, don't do it. This is a test from Allah that don't do these practices. Them practices consisted of causing problems between man and woman, trying to usurp somebody's money, trying to do something or the other, and using malpractices by angels sent by Allah Pak. And them angels did not teach anybody without even telling them that this is wrong knowledge that we're teaching you. That is in the Quran. I didn't make it up. So that having been outlined should say to you that there is a knowledge out there that's been practiced by people to go against you. Again, Allah Pak said everything has been created in pairs. The only one Wahid is Allah Pak. The one and only is Allah Pak. Everything else is two pairs. Everything has a south and a north pole. So if there is that knowledge that's going against us to do us over as humans, sadly in Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, our regions, I only speak about our regions because obviously I've only ever experienced them outside of England, that knowledge is grown. Kala Jadoo, you know, they do Kala Jadoo on you, black magic. And what is that? What, tying knots, blowing on them from a million miles away. The poor guy who they're doing it on over here, they've got something personal and that person's feeling the effects. How does that affect me in England if someone's doing it in Bangladesh or Pakistan or India? How does it affect me if the sun is coming out and I'm asleep? There is some invisible forces and energies at work, guys, and this is where the elements of your core beliefs and your religion teaches you this, and it's not come to the forefront. But let me tell you, it is something that's coming to the forefront because Sufi spiritual society has been left with treasures like this book that complete you, that shed light on certain subjects which you haven't actually experienced before. It may be something new, but don't fall for the hear and say and the whole aura that surrounds the subject in a negative manner. We're here, we're live, we're speaking. We say it out loud. We don't hold it, hide it, anything like this. We don't preach it if it's not been practiced. Live practitioner, live Sufi living is Raza Bhai, Shah Saab, Shahji, well, Shah Saab. And the whole point of me going on about this, a bit off the subject I might say, but to sum it up, Allah Pak has not left us without anything that we can't deal with through using the Quran Pak. But who knows how to derive benefit from the Quran Pak, apart from the one Quran that you've got on your shelf at home, up high, and you've probably left it there dusting away. Apart from you reading it, and in previous programs I've mentioned like the generation gap, because ultimately our ancestors are from the regions in Pakistan. Forget the partition, call it India if you want, but the point is we're born on that land. That's our mother. And in the generations, if you go into the grandmother, great grandmother, grandfather era, you'd see them people of faith had a lot more faith than us we do now. Commonly known in houses, elderly women used to be reading Quran Pak. That has an effect. It gets rid of all the negative energy, the aura and the blessings of Allah Pak. Even angels come down when you read the Quran. So that's a complete different blessing. And the whole point of mentioning it, going back as far as King Solomon, Hazrat Solomon alayhi salam, and mentioning the angels that came down and taught it by the will of Allah, and also warned when they taught it, is that at that time a certain other practice was in play, the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah is a religious practice, and so very commonly misunderstood. It's only when you go into the depths of that you begin to realize what is actually Kabbalah. And this is something I'll leave you with, because I want to get back to reading this book. Do your research, have a look. 72 names of Allah Pak they recite. They do Iqra, which we do Iqra. We read, and this is what takes us places. Within ourselves, the whole universe is open up, the whole multiverse is open up, the whole closeness and attainment to closeness of Allah Pak begins, and that's our spiritual journey, so that the material realm doesn't make any difference anymore. And I think one of the Sufis actually said, become one of two people in this world, either loved or the lover, and watch, this world will be left to nobody. And that stuck out to me, because I can't remember the name of the Sufi, but stuck out to me is true. If we all loved one another, or became the, if we were loved by someone, or we ended up loving someone, we all fell in love with each other and everything was love, there's a detachment of this world. This world won't really be, we won't have that much attachment to the life we love so much, the materialistic things that we want to get hold of so much. So indirectly we cause circumstances to go south, and there is certain ways. So I'm gonna end that conversation here. I'll continue that another time in another program, but this I'm gonna get back to page 79. This is the general qualities of a number 6. Wow. The letter wow. Wow. So if you do the addition of your name, not your surname, just your first name, in Arabic, spell it out, have a look at the alphabets, have a look at the associated numerical values, add them up, filter them through to one digit between 1 and 9. That's the governing characteristics and the peculiarities of the alphabet mysteries that govern you. And these are the general qualities for a number 6. This is a spiritual number. Gautama Buddha and Jesus Christ had the same number. Prince Charles also has the same number, and your servant also has the same number. Shahji had the same number. Okay. A special feature of this number is the separation from at least one of the parents right from childhood. Living at a distance from parents, he has a broken heart from childhood. His own condition is like a candle, which keeps burning itself, but gives light to others. His life is different from common people. A time comes in life when substantial amount of his time is spent in darkened place. May it be office or ship or a mountain cave. Bearer of this number stands up on his own own feet from a very young age. He is found in every department of life. He is a reformer in every circumstance in the world. Imparts training, presents religion in a beautiful manner. His thinking is like that of kings. Every big thing he likes. They are the effects of the letter Vau. And Vau also does not join with any other letter in the beginning, remains alone. Similarly, this number also remains separate from parents, and when he gets married, stays away from wife and children usually. He gets married late, and his marital life is painful. It is a simple matter to get married more than once, but he has many romances. Not once, but 1,000 times he may get married. He will not have peace. He adopts different ways to get peace, but peace remains elusive and he remains after it. He searches peace in the desert and forest because every worldly thing is at his feet. He is a pious and religious person. Even if he is a beggar, his living style and thinking is like kings. He likes music a lot, good qawwali, like Ghulam Farid, and he is a player of instruments. He is very kind-hearted. He does not like hunting. He likes vegetarian food. He has his own style of eating. Always likes a gathering at meals. He likes feeding the poor and distributing food among them. He very much likes giving presents. He has many friends who may be men or women getting together, arranging different kinds of gatherings, that is religious or musical. In short, he is an uncrowned king who has no country. He lives like a poor person in his own country home. He has been created by God Almighty for the sake of common people. Yes, okay. You know what, this I've read for the first time and known that this is the number associated with Shahji. But he has been created by God Almighty for the sake of common people. He very much loves excursions and tours. He is extremely fond of walking. Yeah. Number 6, and health. He is very rarely sick, suffers mainly from stomach ailments. If he passes by close to food, he becomes fat. His whole life is consumed in trying to keep his body slim instead of control over food. He wants to control over his body. He has a long life. In relation to his family, he can have eye problems in old age. He can get scabies or skin ailments during his lifetime. The gist of the matter is that he tries to look smart. A special feature is that he meets accidents many times during his life. Number 6, and hobbies. He has liking for singing, may that be qawwali or naat or classical music. He also has a liking for playing instruments. They are writers as well. They are very fond of reading and writing. They greatly like art of every kind. They are artists of the highest quality. They like keeping various kinds of statues at home. They are not concerned with the celestial reward or punishment. He has a lot of photographs at home, but not religious. He likes keeping many clocks at home and hanging them on walls. Pay a lot of attention on dress. Even at home he remains well groomed. He is not very intelligent. He survives due to the kindness of God. He likes making a palace out of his house. Even if he is poor, his living style is that of kings. He gets little sleep. Number 6, and finance. The look of this number has an expanse. Right from childhood, he never has any need to spread his hand in front of anyone. Owners of this number become independent right from childhood. They move forward and wealth follows them. Their uncles, etc., have a contribution in their life. This character is for each and everyone. This is a special feature of this number. If each and everything is narrated about this number, then that will become a book by itself. His life is full of incidents. Number 6, and profession. Owners of this number are present in every department of life. Excuse me, guys. They very much like business, but they are not good big businessmen. They are very honest and philanthropic. They treat their servants in such a manner that they become an example of their own. Valor and bravery is in their nature. They are also in the forces, but they do not reach high ranks. They are also present in the technical fields, but they do not make very good engineers. They just about mark their time. They are very good physicians. This number is very successful in as many departments there are for treatment. There is one thing, if he is a building engineer, then he will construct something like pyramids of Egypt. They are very successful doctors in surgery. They are good teachers and good professors. They are successful in every scientific profession, particularly the field of chemistry. They are extremely successful. They are good advocates, good barristers, and as a judge. They are very kind-hearted and competent. Most of their good qualities are God's gifts. If he is a Hakim, then he is very successful in the field of dispensing Atari. In brackets it says Attari, Atari. He is fond of making pictures. He will create a big name in the glass cutting. They are also writers of professional books. Number 6, and marital life. His married life is like a lesson. It is written in his fortune. Since childhood, living separate from parents, and after wedding, living away from wife and children, his children love him very much. He has more boys and less of girls. He loves his children so much that he becomes incapable to educate and train them. His having 2 marriages will not be surprising. There are many love affairs or romances in his life. However, if he marries 1,000 times, he will not find peace or get solace. Right, guys, moving on to number 7. Just having a look ahead. What have we got left? We've got 7, 8, 9, and then we start exactly the same, but instead of the men we cover the qualities for women, again from the categories 1 to 9, which should lead us further into chapter 4. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it here for today, guys. So I'm on page 83, number 7, which is Z, general qualities of number 7, governed by the letter Z. And I want to just mark this down here, so I've got it here for yourselves for the next time when I read it out. Mathematical mysteries of alphabets, divine solution for mankind, vision from a visionary. Akhtar Moeed Shah Saab. What a book. This book is a wonder by itself. We've got many things coming up in this book which you'll find very interesting, guys, so tune in for the next time when I read it out to you. As for now, all out from Asad Afzal, spokesperson of Sufi Spiritual Society. Thank you very much for watching. Ya Leo Ya Zimo, Ya Leo Ya Zimo. I hope I read it properly. Well, inshallah.